the trial. We finish with the final point for today's lesson. And this is point number 10. And this is also another thing that we have to distinguish from a miracle, a karama. We mentioned earlier on that favors and bounties that Allah Azza wa Jal gives to a person which are very, very unusual, very unlikely. Like, for example, someone's life is saved, or someone is protected from harm in a very unusual way, or maybe there are some positive benefits that have come to him in a very unusual way. These are not miracles. They're not miracles, right? They are very, very unusual, but they are not actually miracles because they don't break the laws, the laws within which Allah's creation operates, right? They're unusual, yes, but they don't break the laws. And that thing was, we said, they are like favors of Allah Azza wa Jal. There's something else, and this is known as al-firasah. Al-firasah is something that is like it's a very, very high level of intelligence and insight. Firasah. And al-firasah is the ability of a person to understand other people and to know them, to basically look into other people and to know their statements, their motivations, what is happening with them, to understand them and to know them. This is basically known as al-firasah. You know, in English you could say perspicacity. Perspicacity is a word which means, very, very shrewd intelligence, right? There's a hadith in which this word has appeared, and this hadith is related by At-Tirmidhi and others. Many of the scholars, a group of the scholars, they say that it is Hasan, this hadith, and in this hadith, اتقوا فراسة المؤمن اتقوا فراسة المؤمن فإنه ينظر بنور الله. So he said, beware of the firasa of a believer, meaning beware of the insight and the shrewdness and the perspicacity of a believer, because indeed he looks through the light of Allah, by the light of Allah. Now, this firasa is explained as it's basically ilm and knowledge that is put into the heart of a believer. And through this knowledge, he knows what is in front of him. He knows and he understands people. He can see, he understands people. He knows what is happening and going on with what's happening in their souls and what they are thinking and the basis of their statements. And so he understands them. In terms of being truthful, being dishonest, and what the person, how he is thinking, and so on and so forth. All of this is what's referred to as al-firasa. And so basically, it's like a type of light and knowledge and understanding that Allah puts in the hearts of some of His servants. Now, the scholars, when they speak about this firasa, they divide it into three categories. They say, first of all, there is al-firasatul imaniyah. Al-firasatul imaniyah. So, this is, as we said, where a person is given such understanding in his heart about other people, the condition of other people. Now, some people treat this to be a karama. And this is the point that we are making in this point number 10. It is not a karama. Alright? Al-firasa is not karama. It is not miracle. It's not something outside of the ordinary. Alright? But this is the first type. Al-firasatul imaniyah. Another type of firasa is a firasa, al-firasatul riyadiyah. This is a type of firasa which a person gains by way of experience and training. Meaning that you become shrewd and you become intelligent and you become, and the way you do that is, by you exercise the soul, you train the soul, keep away from the desires of the soul, and you train your soul to not be affected by impulses and biases and things like that. And and so you train yourself. This is something that we know that it can happen amongst the people who are like that. And there's a third type, firasatul khalqiyya. And this type of firasa is when, for example, you look at people, and just by looking at their body and the way they walk and the way they speak, and you look at their features, like their hands or whatever else, you can generally get an idea of what this person's character is going to be like. Is this person intelligent? Is this person dumb or foolish? Is this person sophisticated? Is this person simple? Right? This is a type of knowledge that we know that this is a type of knowledge that has been written about, and it's found amongst the nations. You will find books written upon this in the nations that have gone past, nations which are present today, likewise in the Muslim nation, in the non-Muslim nation. All of this it's like a type of knowledge that's to do really with the qualities and characters of people, and determining that from just looking at a person, right? Looking at their gaze, looking at their physical features, looking at the way they walk, looking at the way they talk, and through all of that, you can figure out their intelligence, their maturity, the way they are thinking. All of this is just something that, by study, you can make a connection between these two things. And that's simply a connection between features, physical makeup, biological makeup, and actual personality traits and intelligence and things of that nature. So this is really something you are really studying, I guess, the ways and the means, right? Because there are connections between the features and between things like intelligence and these things have been studied, right? So once we understand that there are three types of firasa, a person can study this and learn certain things. But we are speaking of the first one really, right? The first one, al-firasatul imaniyya, which we find that some believers are given. And that's why we see in the hadith, for those who consider it to be hasan, ittaqu firasatul mu'min, فَإِنَّهُ يَنْظُرْ بِنُورِ اللَّهِ. Like this person, he will know if you're lying or not, or if you're being truthful or not. Beware of the firasa of a believer. So the point that we are making then is that this al-firasatul imaniyya is not the same as a karama. We do not treat it to be a karama. It's not a miracle. It's not from the same category of being a miracle. It is outside of that category, and it is something else, right? So, and really, this is it's like a totally different subject area. It can be like a type of ilham. Ilham means inspiration. Sometimes Allah Azza wa Jal, He can inspire a person. This is not revelation, but sometimes He puts like an understanding or a realization, or He inspires a person, right? And as a result of which he acquires understanding of something, right? It's more from that angle. It is not from the angle of a karama, which is amrun khariqun lil'ada. So if you can clearly see that difference between the two, then we can see why firasa cannot be seen the same as al-karama. So the firasa that a person has by way of his iman is not the same as the karamat.